Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Connected Conversations. And today I am super excited to welcome Gabriela Toderean, a bliss coach, who's gonna share her gifts, her wisdom, and we're gonna have a connected conversations on the topic of reclaiming our power back. And I am Martina Mazdrova. I am your host, and I've created a connected conversations ready for you to be the source of a transformed world, to be the source of connection, love, and joy. And through these conversations, giving you information or access to people, to tools that maybe you haven't heard of and you get to have in your life to move through to the next level of whatever in your life and in a way that it gets to look like. So, Gabriela, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank
And let's
you
just
for having
start. Yeah, let's just start with your story. Who is the bliss coach and how did you get into it?
I recap my story and realized that for many years I have a very controlling father, and he is an incredible, successful entrepreneur, scientist, and so on, with really great prizes and more than 20 books published, and other very similar and big achievements. And he wants the best. So both our parents wanted the best for us. I have a sister. So his idea to put it into practice was to give us the fish, not not learning us how to fish, but give us the fish. The fish was for me an apartment when I moved from the house of my parents, a job, and I have has been left with nothing to do in a way because
Mm,
I was given all the things, and for many years I just uh, remain in those comfortable place of staying so on the path that he wanted for me as an IT consultant, because this was my prime career and preparation. I have a bachelor in computer science, and for many years I stayed there and really follow his his idea of a good life for me, and not really looking into what was my dream, what I wanted to become and to do, because in when I did my university, it was other things than science were not so good paid, and this was the reason I made this choice, with the idea that by being a programmer you can work in any area. And indeed I worked in doing some software for a medical company and so on, but it wasn't really fulfilling for me. So I start a journey of finding myself and really reclaim my power, because for many years, I just accept what was given to me and not really have a contribution. And it was very comfortable, but
mm,
not inspired at all. So
mm,
it was, and at some point I felt like I have so much inside, but I didn't express myself in any way. So I embark in a very long journey of discovering myself and reclaiming my power, because in the underground, the understanding of my father was that I will listen to him and follow his path for me in exchange of what he gave to me. So it was a long story, but I am so grateful that I am here right now, and I had the resources to took the time and to discover myself and to follow a lot of very great mentors and coach and programs and in in the beginning, at the starting of my journey, I said that I want to be my own boss and to start a company. This was uh, like it looks like the perfect path to go for. But in a certain at a certain point, I discovered that it was first more important for me to discover my power, to exercise it, to see it, because till at that moment I really did not know exactly what I can, and because it was necessary. And it this is how it all began. And then I realized that indeed finding the power inside, your voice and your strength, your higher self, all these things made me really centrated and powerful. And I right now I am definitely prepared to start to grow my business to another level. And it was great, because otherwise I would struggle a lot with because of my emotional issue and my insecurity. uh, yes, and it
It's a very powerful story, and I'm sure lots of listeners could relate to it, kind of following the path of someone else rather than
mhm,
following the path of our own heart, right? And even knowing what our path is, what is our direction, what is our thing. My story is very different, but the key is the same or very similar, kind of starting to do the inner work and the personal development and going inwards to really connect with what is actually mine and what is my parents, what is my friends, what is the society, the pressure, the expectation that comes with living usually. And so I really resonate with what you're saying and kind of connecting to yourself and discovering what is actually yours and what is important to you. And quite a few times, Gabriela, you said that it was the beginning to reclaim your power. Now you're fully in your power. So what does that look like? Because I think this is a term we use a lot right now, like these days, especially in the space of personal development, like be in your power, reclaim your power. What does that mean to you when you are fully in your power? What does that look like?
mainly it is the a very strong connection and understanding of your higher self.
Mm.
And yes, in the past, if I heard something like this, it does not mean anything to
Mm-hmm.
me.
Mm-hmm.
But if so, my first question was, who am I? And in my program, it is the first question I encourage women to put and to really go deep to discover, because if it you remain at the surface and you know your persona, your personality, your traits, your abilities, but you remain there, it will be limited. At any given time it will be limited. But when you go behind all these and you are aware that you really can access unlimited power that is in your higher self, and knowledge and certainty and all this, then you really become unstoppable, unbreakable, and so on, because your power does not rely in your experience, which is
Mm.
limited, in your knowing, which is limited, and so on, but you have access to the source of of the power, and that is when
Mm.
you really can move mountains and do anything, because
Mm.
you know that you can access there, and you are we are all really part of it. And
Mm.
it was very, very powerful for me when I really discovered how the things works, how the reality really reflects our convictions and our limiting beliefs, and how easy in a way it is to look inside and to see what's happening when does this start,
Mm.
all
Mm. Mm.
has been engraved in ourselves, and then work with it, and go and move forward, because really our whole exterior universe is a project or projection of our interior. So when we dig deep and unfold all, there is not no more serving us or
Mm.
limiting, then you, and in a way it is a never ending story, because at every level you go up and you discover a new
Yeah.
layer.
Yeah.
But it will become very different, because you know what you have to do, you know the how it all works, and it will be much simpler and much enjoyable.
Yeah.
And yes.
Mm, yes, that's yeah, I love that. And as I mean, this is exactly what I am why I'm so passionate about what I'm doing with through my coaching, because it's exactly that. The moment I understood, well, I was first guided by a coach, my first ever coach like 4 years ago, to see how the world around me, how the external things, whatever it is, if it's experiences, if it's situation, if it's relationship, anything that triggers me or activates me, really, that's kind of how I like to call it, more than a trigger, how they reflect me and the relationship I have with myself. It was it was so liberating on its own. And then from that place, seeing just like, okay, so when I shift anything and when I change or up level or move through something inside of me, well, I will then mirror different things. And it was incredible to see how the magic starts to happen. And I know also what was really challenging at start. It was, and sometimes it still is, even now, it's being a little bit intimidated by the power that we have, knowing that we can
Mhm.
be unlimited and we are the creators of our experience, of our reality, of our what we live. So from this place, just like, okay, we truly have the power to create. And it can be quite scary for some, just like, what do I do with this? So how
Yes.
was that for you when you were really, when you started to, when you really discovered this? I would say magic. This is the universal magic. That's how I look at it. So as you really look into it and you started to embody it, how was that for you?
I had a huge enthusiasm to start creating a different future for myself,
Mm.
and going to a different path, and as before. And it is challenging, because I right now I can settle for less.
Yes.
This was the norm in the past. So the
Mm.
salary or something, what
Mm.
the
Mm.
boss asked from me, but right now I know that I have options. I know that I can do and reach a lot of goals. So it is just to ask how far can I go.
Mm, no, absolutely, and that's beautiful. Like you don't want to settle for anything less because I think with this growth, with this elevation of self, it's also your value, right? Your worth is grown
Exactly.
with it because you don't accept things that you would in the past anymore because you see like, well, you know the behind the scenes really, you know.
Yes.
So so let's go to your name, your professional name, bliss coach. What is a bliss to you? What does a bliss coach do? What do you do for women in your space?
I knowing what I know, I said that the journey to self-discovery and growth does not have to be difficult and painful anymore, and you can start by incorporating meditation in your life, and they are very powerful, and some other technique, breathing technique and so on, that can really put yourself in a ease, in a place, in a relaxed place, and from there you can do everything in another way, more relaxed and more creative,
Mm,
and so on. So I recommend to start from there, and then and just practice some tips in this area, and see how they works. Because for me it was so, I started a certain type of meditation, and the awareness grow bigger and bigger and bigger as I practice it. So without doing in a way anything, a lot, I just started to understand more and more and more, and to see things, to grasp what is behind, and this was incredibly helpful. And another thing that I did and was and I recommend, I start with decluttering my environment,
mm, that's
the
huge.
books, the old stuff, and it was enjoyable in weekend with my daughter or alone. I really enjoy the process. I take the Marie Kondo approach. I did read her book and I love it, and I discovered how powerful it was, because it's a double way you can change your reality. So you can go inside and change things, or you can start with outside and change things, and then as you make a place for new things, and you make order in your stuff, then this will reflect also
Mm,
inside, and this is the
mm.
beauty. You can start anywhere where it's more comfortable for you, or more where you feel you are calling.
That is so powerful, Gabriela. Thank you for bringing that up. Because really, how we do one thing, we do everything.
Mm,
And literally, the state of our environment really reflects the state inside the inner house, the inner home. I can see it. I mean, I've relatively recently, I really discovered the pattern of for me, this whole person development journey has been a huge thing for self intimacy. Like intimacy, I mean, into me, you see, really for me, being truly connected with myself, with what I feel, with what I am experiencing. Before, I would be in a very superficial level. I would feel happy, sad, whatever, but I would do anything to distract myself, just not to feel it because it's uncomfortable. Sometimes it is painful. Sometimes, I mean, it brings up stuff, right? And I could see that there was a pattern in my environment when I was, let's say, in ease and in peace and really in ease with myself emotionally, my environment is clean and tidy, and everything is in order. And as I start to push away, I can have that conversation later. I can do this later. I can do that later. I don't want to quite deal with it. I don't have the energy for it right now. And it's literally unmade decisions. I could see it, how my environment reflects. Suddenly, the notebook that which always goes into the desk stays on top of the desk, and the next notebook stays there, and maybe makeup which goes normally in the wardrobe would stay on top of it, and it would become clutter and messy and all over the place until sometimes it would be a total explosion. And that would also be the time for me that I would just crush emotionally, but I would be going in the hamster wheel of go, 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 just do anything, just not to feel deeply. But then we crash. Every single person we do that, right, in a different way if we don't deal with emotion. Maybe someone gets into a fight, maybe someone gets into an argument, maybe someone just go and get drunk. We let it out in some way because just there is so much we can bury. And I could see it in my environment. Suddenly as I see it's like, oh my God, this is just like my emotions, just the unmade decision. Because then ideally I would just shut the door and I would go into the next room, and just seeing that. And as I started to clear the environment, as I started to declutter, as I started to really tidy up, I started to tidy up, and there was peace. So I really invite our listeners, as you listen, if you are in your house, in your home, just look around without judgment, without shame, fall, guilt, and any of that. Just look around and what's going on in your environment. Is it kind of all over the place? Is it maybe really explosion time? Or maybe it's just really, clean and tidy? And how do you feel? What unmade decision you get to do, you get to process? That has been so powerful. So thank you for bringing that up, Gabriela. And so we're reaching the end. So I would really love for you just to say, if our listeners wants to stay in connection with you and in relationship, they want to learn more from you, how they can do it. What is the best way to follow up with you?
I think it's my Facebook group, which is called Mindful Living, and where I post regularly each day and give tips and tricks. And the members could ask a question, and I will follow and respond. Yes, it's a very safe environment, and there is the best place to see each other regularly and to keep in
I
touch.
love that. Thank you. We can drop the link also in the comments, so it's easy access, easy and simple. We like that. And very lastly, Gabriela, is there any message, maybe something we haven't talked about, or maybe something you want to just reinforce for our listeners? Is there anything you would like to leave them with?
Something that I discovered recently is that our traumas does not go away so easily, and we have to address them in sooner or later, but sooner is better. And I work with this also because I realized that you can be zen and mindful if you have a lot of inner unresolved emotional issues. And if you have those, then the best way to start is to address them and then move on with other practices. And yes.
Yeah, absolutely right. Because really the only way to get on the other side is to go through. You get to feel it to heal it.
Yes.
And and that is very powerful because it always comes, right? We live in patterns. So it's suddenly you can see you're dating the same person. It's different here, different, but you're dating the same people. You're having the same situation. Maybe you're living the same drama because there is a pattern, there is a loop. So, and there is a way to process it, right? And we get to name it, we get to acknowledge it, we get to see it in order, like, even to move forward. So, as you say, just being curious and in discovery of, okay, what is going on, it can be really empowering on its own. So thank you so much, Gabriela. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your time. Thank you for what you're bringing to the world. Thank you for standing as the source of the transformed world. And I really loved our conversation.
Thank you for inviting me. It was a big pleasure.